Dove sta papà?
The movie kicks off with these beautiful, peaceful shots of Rome, Italy. But that peace doesn't last long. We meet Enzo, a small-time thief who's running through the streets with the cops hot on his tail. Turns out, he tried to swipe a watch, just something he could sell to make ends meet. During the chase, Enzo tries to hide out on a dredging barge, one of those crane ships used to clean the river. He's hoping the cops will just give up, but instead, they board the ship. With nowhere else to go, Enzo dives into the river to escape. The cops lose him and take off. Once the coast is clear, Enzo tries to surface, but he slips and falls right into a broken drum of radioactive waste at the bottom of the river. He eventually makes it back to his apartment, but he's wrecked. Fever, vomiting, and a nasty cough. He has no idea his body is contaminated with this dangerous black gunk. But the next morning, surprisingly, Enzo feels perfectly fine. Like, all better. So he goes looking for his neighbor Sergio, who lives one floor down, hoping to sell him that watch he stole. Sergio's not home, so Enzo decides to go find him on the job. See, Sergio is a member of a mafia crew run by a ruthless guy named Zingaro, who isn't afraid to kill his own men for messing up. Sergio is known as one of the gang's most loyal guys. That same morning, Zingaro is in a meeting, trying to figure out who's got the balls to run a drug smuggling op at the airport. Since nobody else in the crew will step up, Sergio volunteers to do it himself. After the meeting, he runs into Enzo and buys the stolen watch for 1,000 euros. He knows Enzo is a sly thief, so he asks him for help on the drug smuggling mission. Enzo doesn't really have a reason to say no, so he agrees. First, they stop by Sergio's place to grab some stuff. There, Enzo meets Alessia, who is super excited and talking all about a Japanese cartoon called Jeeg. At first, Enzo thinks her behavior is just weird, but he slowly realizes Alessia is mentally unstable. On the way to the airport, Sergio explains that Alessia has been severely traumatized ever since her mom died. Because of this, she often confuses the real world with her favorite anime, seeing people around her as characters from the show. About half an hour later, Sergio takes Enzo to the airport for the drug deal. But the whole vibe changes when one of the drug mules starts to overdose. His friend begs Sergio to take him to a hospital. But instead of helping, Sergio just drags him to a deserted building and demands to finish the deal first. This makes the other guy snap, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots Sergio. Enzo, who's watching this whole thing, gets shot too and falls from the upper floor. But here's the crazy part. Even after that huge fall, he was only knocked out for a second. And despite taking a bullet, he's totally fine. Stunned, he bolts from the scene and heads back to his apartment. When he gets home, he runs into Alessia again, who's still waiting for her dad to come back. Enzo can't bring himself to tell her what happened and just goes straight to his room. He checks his shoulder where the bullet hit him, and weirdly, it doesn't hurt at all. He sits down to watch a movie, but just then, Alessia starts banging on his door. Pissed off, Enzo storms over to his heavy metal door and punches it, and the door just buckles. That's the moment Enzo realizes he now has superhuman strength. This power, of course, came from that nasty radioactive waste he fell into. To test it, he shoves his fridge, and it feels light as a feather. Then he grabs a thick metal rod and bends it with no problem. And finally, he gets an idea. He's gonna rob an ATM. So, Enzo throws on a hoodie and a mask, heads out, and literally just rips an ATM machine right out of the wall. He drags it back to his apartment, and with all the cash, he orders pizza and burgers and stocks his entire apartment with groceries. The next day, he's even more shocked to see his bullet wound is completely gone, like it never even happened. Later, when he steps out of his apartment, he finds Zingaro's gang harassing Alessia. They're trying to find out what happened to Sergio, who never came back with the drug package. Zingaro is under serious pressure himself, because he owes all that money to Nunzia, an even more badass gang leader above him. They keep grilling Alessia about her dad, and they even look like they're about to assault her. But before they can do anything, Enzo, back in his hoodie and mask, crashes through the window and starts tossing Zingaro's goons around like ragdolls. Zingaro is terrified by his strength. He manages to slash at Enzo's foot before running away, cutting off one of Enzo's toes in the process. After the fight, Enzo takes Alessia back to his apartment to protect her from Zingaro. The innocent Alessia starts to believe he's the actual hero from her anime, Jeeg. Meanwhile, Enzo tries to just tape his severed toe back on, hoping it'll heal up, just like his bullet wound did. When Alessia sees the mountain of cash and the busted ATM in his apartment, she just laughs. She tells Enzo he should use his powers for good, not for stealing. Her words hit him, reminding him that her father, Sergio, is dead. Enzo can't sleep that night. He opens a box of Sergio's stuff and finds a mysterious map, which looks like it's connected to one of Zingaro's gang's plans. The next day, Enzo basically dumps Alessia at an orphanage, trying to get her to forget about her dad. She refuses at first, but agrees when he promises to buy her a princess dress that evening. Elsewhere, Zingaro and his goons are watching a viral video of the hoodie guy who beat them all up. They start trying to identify him and figure out what happened to Sergio. Enzo, on the other hand, just continues his crime spree. That night, he finds an anime tape Alessia left behind. He watches it for the first time, and actually kinda likes it. Meanwhile, Nunzia's gang is still leaning on Zingaro for their money. Under pressure, Zingaro decides to go ahead with an old plan he made with Sergio, robbing an armored cash van. He and his goons get set up at an intersection, armed and ready. But unfortunately for them, right before they can make their move, someone else stops the van and steals all the money. And yeah, of course, it's Enzo. Enzo uses the stolen cash to buy a bunch of new stuff, including a giant home theater projector and the entire Steel Jeeg anime DVD series. He's totally, accidentally become a fan, just like Alessia. But before he can even finish watching it, the cops show up at his apartment and he panics. But it turns out they're just dropping off Alessia, who was found wandering around after running away from the orphanage. The cop, seeing her mental state, advises Enzo to take care of her. Alessia is thrilled to be back. She's starting to crush on Enzo, who she still thinks is her hero. Enzo finds himself drawn to Alessia too, and they watch the anime together. But suddenly, Alessia is hit with a traumatic memory. Enzo learns that after her mother's death, she was repeatedly sexually abused, which just piled onto her trauma. Enzo calms her down and decides to keep her with him, to protect her. The next day, he takes her to a playground that's filled with her childhood memories of her father. Alessia still believes her dad is trapped in the underworld, just like in the anime. Back with the bad guys, one of Zingaro's own men gets fed up with his leadership and tells him to drop the arrogant attitude. Instead of taking the advice, Zingaro has his pet attack dog kill the guy. On a much nicer note, Enzo takes Alessia to the mall to cheer her up. Alessia, who used to be so anxious, is actually laughing and opening up. Enzo keeps his promise and buys her a princess dress. This moment makes their bond even stronger. Enzo, who had no purpose in life, has finally found a reason to live, and Alessia has finally found the protector she's always needed. But their happiness doesn't last long. Alessia starts insisting that Enzo bring her father back from the world of hell. Enzo gets angry and accidentally blurts out the truth. Sergio is dead. Hearing this, Alessia completely breaks down and runs off, jumping onto a moving tram. Enzo chases right after her and, in a panic, uses his full strength to stop the tram in its tracks, just to apologize. He doesn't care who sees him, and, well, everyone does. People record the whole thing, and he's instantly labeled as that supervillain who robbed the ATM. Across town, a desperate Zingaro decides to ask a trans woman named Marcello for a loan. But right then, Nunzia and her gang arrive and shoot Marcello. They then threaten to burn Zingaro alive. He's terrified, but it turns out Nunzia is just messing with him. But just then, Marcello, who survived the gunshot, gets up and attacks Nunzia's gang. Scared of getting killed in the crossfire, Zingaro flees back to his hideout. But when he gets there, he's stunned to find his entire crew has been murdered. At that exact moment, he sees a news report on TV about the supervillain who stopped the tram, and he finally realizes it's Enzo. Now that Enzo's gone viral, he decides to grab Alessia and get them somewhere safe. But Zingaro and his young goon, Tazi, are secretly following them. Enzo and Alessia check into a hotel, but before they can even relax, Zingaro ambushes them, injects Enzo with a sedative, and has Tazi kidnap Alessia. When Enzo comes to, he's tied up. Zingaro shows him a live video of Alessia and demands to know the secret to his superpowers. He wants that power for himself. At first, Enzo stays quiet, but to save Alessia, he's forced to tell him everything. Enzo takes Zingaro to the river, the exact spot where he got his powers. After spilling the beans, Enzo tells Zingaro to free Alessia, but Zingaro thinks it's a trick and refuses to let her go until he gets his powers too. Back in the car, Alessia pulls a fast one, pretending she needs to use the bathroom. When Tazi unties her, she cleverly attacks and kills him. Enzo feels like it's all over, but suddenly, Nunzia and her entire crew pull up. Zingaro freaks out and starts yelling for Tazi, having no idea he's already dead. A massive gunfight erupts. In the chaos, Alessia makes a run for Enzo, but she's caught in the crossfire and gets shot. Enzo is absolutely devastated. He doesn't know what the beef was between Nunzia and Zingaro, but Alessia just became a victim of it. Crying, he holds her and apologizes. With her last breath, Alessia tells him to use his powers to help people, not for crime. And then she's gone. Enzo is all alone again. The next morning, we see Zingaro is still alive. He survived by drinking the radioactive sludge from the river, and it's made him just as powerful as Enzo. So, Zingaro gets a new look and heads straight for Nunzia's hideout, ready for revenge. He hits record on his phone and just starts brutally dismantling her entire gang. For the grand finale, he dances with Nunzia, right before he snaps her spine, killing her. Enzo, meanwhile, is completely lost in his grief. But one event changes everything. He sees a bad car crash. Cops save a woman, but a little girl is still trapped inside. Without even thinking, Enzo rushes in and uses his strength to save the child. The girl's mother thanks him over and over. And that's when Enzo realizes it. Helping people brings real joy. He remembers Alessia's last words. Use your power for good. Right on cue, he sees a news report. It's Zingaro's viral video of him slaughtering Nunzia's gang. On the video, Zingaro announces he's going to bomb a crowded public place because he wants the world to know him as the most dangerous villain alive. Hearing this, Enzo sprints to the Rome Stadium. The entrance is blocked, so he just lifts a giant, heavy concrete barrier out of the way, blowing everyone's minds. Inside, Enzo confronts Zingaro in the parking garage and tries to stop him. But now, Zingaro is a superhuman too, and it's an even fight. Zingaro mocks Enzo, challenging him to a big showdown inside the stadium. But it's a trick. He uses the distraction to run off and activate a massive bomb in a car, set to go off in just a few minutes. Enzo panics. With no other choice, he starts carrying the bomb, trying to get it away from the stadium. But Zingaro shows up again, trying to stop him. There's only 1 minute left. Zingaro runs to the bomb and cuts the timer even shorter. Before it's too late, Enzo, still holding the bomb, dives straight into the river. A few seconds pass, and a massive explosion erupts from the water. Enzo's heroic sacrifice stops the terror attack, and the blast completely decapitates Zingaro. After this, Enzo is finally recognized by the people of Rome as a true superhero, a protector who saved them from a huge disaster. And that is where the movie ends.